Some stories do not begin with violence. They begin with influence, power, and relationships that slowly become complicated. In August 2012, the death of a young woman would trigger a national outcry. It would involve a powerful politician, allegations of harassment, a suicide note, and a legal battle that would last more than a decade. Welcome to the inner room. And this is the story of Geetika Sharma. A case where power, trust, and tragedy collided. Gopal Goyal Kanda, now known as a businessman and politician, was once a simple man trying to build a livelihood. In his early days, he ran a small radio repair shop with his brother. The business did not do well. Looking for another opportunity, the brothers opened a footwear shop. This time, the business began to thrive. The shop soon expanded into a footwear manufacturing unit, producing their own brand of shoes. As the business grew, Gopal Kanda began supplying footwear to government departments and political circles, which helped him establish connections with influential people. Within a decade, his business empire expanded rapidly. He launched dozens of companies, eventually becoming associated with more than 40 businesses, including schools and colleges, hospitality ventures, casinos in Goa, real estate projects, and media businesses. He even launched his own news channel, which frequently portrayed him as a successful entrepreneur. Soon afterward, he became the Minister of State for Home Affairs in the Haryana government. By this point, Gopal Kanda had become a wealthy and influential figure. In 2007, Gopal Kanda launched MDLR Airlines, named after his father, Murlidhar Lakhram. The airline leased 3 aircraft and began operating domestic flights. Many observers were surprised. A businessman who had built his career in footwear manufacturing had suddenly entered the aviation industry. The airline soon began recruiting staff. Around 2008, when MDLR Airlines began hiring cabin crew, Geetika Sharma applied for a position. The interviews were conducted at the company's office in Gurgaon, now Gurugram. Unknown to many candidates, Mr. Kanda often watched the interviews through CCTV cameras from another room. During one of these sessions, he noticed Geetika. Recruiters reportedly suggested she should return after 6 months because of age eligibility criteria. But Mr. Kanda intervened. He ordered that her appointment letter be issued immediately. This marked the beginning of Geetika Sharma's association with MDLR Airlines. After joining the airline, Geetika's career progressed quickly. MDLR Airlines had initially generated a lot of excitement when it began operations. But behind the scenes, the company soon began struggling financially. Flights were limited and operations were unstable, creating uncertainty for many employees. Geetika was ambitious and wanted to grow professionally. She hoped to join another airline in India where she could continue flying regularly. But as later accounts suggested, leaving the company was not easy. Instead, she was offered promotions and was elevated from cabin crew to senior cabin crew. Later, when MDLR's flight operations began shutting down, the entire cabin crew staff were shifted to ground positions. As the company's operations continued to decline, several members of the cabin crew were moved to other roles within the business network associated with Gopal Kanda. Some female employees were offered positions in his hospitality ventures, including a casino operation in Goa. Geetika Sharma was among those who were briefly sent there. She did not remain in that role for long and eventually chose to move on. Her trajectory, however, appeared different. Instead of being assigned routine ground duties, she was placed in higher management roles within Gopalkanda's business network and eventually became a director in one of the associated companies. Within the organization, some employees reportedly felt that her rise had been unusually rapid. Mr. Kanda provided several opportunities for her within his companies. Despite these developments, Geetika remained focused on building a career in aviation. She wanted to continue flying as cabin crew and gain professional experience. Eventually, she decided to formally resign from the airlines and pursue opportunities elsewhere. In her resignation email in 2011, Geetika wrote that she wanted to leave the company and move forward with her career. She also expressed distress over the situation she had been facing and said she wanted to distance herself from the environment within the organization. The resignation marked a turning point. Soon after leaving MDLR, Geetika began exploring new opportunities in aviation. Around this time, she received an offer from Emirates Airlines and moved to Dubai to begin the next chapter of her career. But it later emerged that her departure did not sit well with Gopal Kanda. He was reportedly determined to bring her back. Reports later suggested that he continued trying to persuade her to return to India. During this time, emails were sent to her employer questioning her professional conduct. Following these developments, Geetika Sharma lost her job with Emirates and returned to India. After returning to India, Geetika reportedly attempted to distance herself from Gopal Kanda and his business network. He allegedly continued urging her to rejoin his organization. At one stage, he even introduced his wife Saras Kanda to Geetika's family. According to statements later made publicly, Saras Kanda said that her husband considered Geetika like his daughter. Eventually, Geetika resumed working within the business network. But reports later indicated that the situation had become increasingly stressful. During this period, Geetika's family later said they had begun noticing the emotional strain she was under and became increasingly concerned about her well-being. She claimed she was facing continuous harassment and pressure. Another name mentioned in the allegations was Aruna Chadha, a senior employee in the organization. And then one day, the situation reached a tragic conclusion. A day before her death, Geetika Sharma wrote a handwritten suicide note. In the letter, she named two people whom she held responsible for the situation she had been facing. On August 5th, 2012, 23-year-old Geetika Sharma was found dead at her family's residence in Ashok Vihar, northwest Delhi. For her family, it was the beginning of a long and painful battle, one that would play out in courtrooms, media debates, and public scrutiny for years to come. Inside the room, investigators recovered a 2-page handwritten suicide note. In the note, Geetika named Gopal Goyal Kanda and Aruna Chadha, accusing them of harassment and holding them responsible for what she described as the circumstances that had led her to this point. The handwritten note would become the central piece of evidence in the case. And this is what Geetika wrote. I am ending myself today because I'm shattered inside. My trust has been broken and I am being cheated. Two people responsible for my death is Aruna Chadha and Gopal Goyal Kanda. Both of them have broken my trust and misused me for their own benefits. They have ruined my life and now they are trying to sabotage my family members. My family is very innocent. Aruna and Gopal Goyal are liars, cheaters, and crooks. They can hurt and ruin anyone for their own purpose. I have forgiven them number of times, but it was my biggest mistake. Gopal Goyal before also did hurt me and my family, but we still forgave him. But he again misused our innocence and trust. He is a cheat and a fraud man. These two should be punished for their wrong deeds and malicious intentions towards me and my family. They have made my life abnormal. I love my mom, dad, and my brother. The letter was signed. As news of the suicide note spread, the case triggered widespread public outrage. In parts of Haryana and Delhi, small groups of protesters gathered, demanding an independent investigation and calling for the case to be handed over to the Central Bureau of Investigation. The political consequences were immediate. As media coverage intensified and pressure mounted, Gopal Goyal Kanda, who was serving as Minister of State for Home Affairs in the Haryana government at the time, resigned from his position. Police registered a case under charges including abetment to suicide. However, despite the seriousness of the accusations, an arrest did not happen immediately. For several days after the case was registered, Gopal Kanda remained at his residence. Media channels interviewed him. He continued to defend himself publicly. Meanwhile, police were under increasing pressure to act. When investigators finally arrived to arrest him, he was no longer at his residence. Soon afterward, Gopal Goyal Kanda was declared absconding. On August 8th, police arrested Aruna Chadha. On August 13th, Gopal Kanda approached the Delhi High Court seeking anticipatory bail. And on August 17th, the court rejected his bail plea. After the bail plea was rejected, pressure on Gopal Kanda increased dramatically. For several days, he had remained out of sight while police teams searched for him. Soon after, he announced through the media that he would surrender on a specific date. Police officers and journalists gathered outside the Ashok Vihar police station in Delhi, waiting for him to appear. But he did not arrive at the announced time. Hours passed as cameras and reporters remained stationed outside. Then late in the night around 1 a.m. on August 18th, Gopal Goyal Kanda finally arrived in an OB van, a television broadcast vehicle belonging to his own media network. Surrounded by cameras and media, he stepped out and walked into the police station, where he formally surrendered to the police. After he surrendered, he was produced before Delhi court, which remanded him to 7 days of police custody for interrogation. After the police custody ended, the court later sent him to 14 days of judicial custody. From that point onward, the investigation continued. Charges were filed. Witnesses were questioned. The case moved through the courts for more than a decade. During this time, Gopal Kanda and the co-accused were granted bail, and he continued to participate in political activities and even contested elections. On October 6, 2012, Delhi police filed the charge sheet in the case. The charge sheet named former Haryana Minister Gopal Goyal Kanda under several sections of the Indian Penal Code. These included Section 306, Abetment of Suicide, Section 506, Criminal Intimidation, Section 201, Destruction of Evidence, Section 120B, Criminal Conspiracy, and Section 466, Forgery. Initially, more serious charges, including Section 376 and Section 377, were also invoked during the investigation. However, the Delhi High Court later quashed these charges due to lack of sufficient evidence. During the investigation, police also examined emails exchanged between Geetika Sharma and Gopal Kanda. along with their phone call records, as they attempted to determine the nature of their relationship. These communications later became part of the evidence presented during the trial. Just months after Geetika's death, another tragedy struck the family. Anuradha Sharma, Geetika's mother, who had been actively fighting the case and speaking publicly about her daughter's death, was found dead. Police reported that she had died by suicide. Reports later stated that she had also left a handwritten note addressed to her son, urging him to continue the fight for justice. For nearly 6 months, she had stood at the forefront of the fight for justice, attending court hearings, giving interviews, and responding to the intense scrutiny that surrounded the case. Before her passing, she had repeatedly alleged that the harassment faced by her family in the aftermath of the case had pushed them to the brink. Those close to the family later spoke about the immense emotional toll that the prolonged legal battle had taken on them. For Geetika's father and brother, it was another devastating loss. In the span of just 6 months, the family had lost a daughter, a wife, a mother, and a sister while pursuing justice through the courts. After more than a decade of hearings, on July 2023, the court delivered its judgment. Both Gopal Goel Kanda and Aruna Chadha were acquitted of all charges. The court ruled that the prosecution had failed to prove abetment to suicide beyond a reasonable doubt. According to the court, the available evidence did not establish the legal threshold required for conviction. With that, the legal chapter of the case came to a close. In the years that followed, Mr. Kanda continued his political career, remaining active in public life. But for Geetika Sharma's father and brother, life after the case took a very different course. In the years that followed, they had to rebuild their lives while carrying the weight of two devastating losses: the death of Geetika and later the passing of her mother during the long fight for justice. A loss that left a permanent void in their lives. Long after the courtrooms fell silent, the impact of those years continues to shape their lives. Geetika Sharma had dreams of flying, of building a life in the skies she loved so much. But her journey was cut tragically short. And while the courts have delivered their verdict, the questions surrounding her story continue to linger. Because behind the headlines and the courtroom battles was a young woman who simply wanted to fly.